Welcome and welcome back. We have got ourselves quite a few reveals today. We've got a relic, we've got an echo boss, we even have some task information. So let's jump into it. And of course, starting with the relic, we finally got ourselves a tier 7 reloaded. Not the icon I was expecting for it, but we'll talk about that. And there's not like a ton to say on this relic yet, because what does it do? It lets you pick again. Now, these are all the relics that we currently know, so what this would mean, let's say you pick this path of relics and then you get up here to tier 7, then it lets you go back and pick from all of the unpicked relics. You want Trash Can, you want Abundance, you want Endless Harvest, you go for it. So maybe you come back here, you pick this one up, cool. Now you've locked in Abundance. Don't do this. That would be horrible. If you're at tier 7 and you go back for Abundance, you're doing it wrong. If you're going to take Abundance, take it first. But since we're missing so many of the relics, it's really difficult to like talk about strategy-wise how good this is. We don't know what it is up against either, so that's going to matter a lot. Because if the other tier 7 relic is something really powerful, then why would we want to go back and take like a tier 6, tier 5, tier 4, whatever? But that's okay, because we have a lot of other teaser, leak, whatever kind of that we're going to need to talk through. However, first things first, time to update the board. Now, this is a little bit of like a mixed bag. I didn't have this one on here, which is concerning for a different reason, because it means the folks who were saying, maybe they were baiting us with about half of the relics, that's starting to look a little more true. But I am going to shuffle some things around. So we've got our reloaded on the board now. I did move this one up. I moved what looks like the little bank deposit box down because I'm almost thinking it's going to have to be weaker than something like Banker's Note that we had in the past. And the one that looked like reloaded before, I just booted it off the board. It could still be the Infernal Tools, but I don't know if I love that option. I mean, we don't get tools from like 2 out of the 3 of the tier 1, so we definitely could see something like that. I think it's not that strong, so it would probably have to be in like a tier 4 maybe. But I'm not 100% sure. This is one of those days where I'm not feeling super confident on the board. What can you do? But of course, one of the other things we got today was actually some more clarification on what tasks we are going to be working with. So we already knew this one. We're getting a global task for each of the mega rares, which means you are going to want access to one of the raids. Now, obviously, you want the raids that are easier to farm, so that's why Chambers over here in Karen is a little bit smaller, because if you have to go for 3 mega rares in Chambers, I think you're going to be in tears by the end of the league. Now, this doesn't matter if you don't want to like absolutely max the amount of points that you get in the league. So if you're just here casually, you're getting to like Ruin Cup, or you just want to kind of get to your tier 8, then this probably won't matter that much for you. However, I would definitely, if you're planning on, well, even getting 1 mega rare, you're probably looking at either of the other 2 raids. They're both going to be good because they both have guaranteed purples at a certain point, so it's a lot easier to farm these for a mega rare, among other drops, of course. So keep that in mind as you're picking your different regions. They also told us we are going to have a task going all the way up to 750 collection log slots. That's actually the black tier from the like collector whatever in Varrock. He's not going to be accessible, so I don't know if we're going to be able to get our staff, but maybe from the league's tutorial person? Question mark? Now, 750 sounds both like a lot and not a lot. I don't think you're going to have to worry about this in terms of like your different area choices, because you're probably going to be doing some clues. Clues are going to give you, I mean, easily half of this, I would think, if not a little bit more. All of the bosses that drop like a bunch of stuff, so things like Chambers, things like the Dagganoth Kings, they have a lot of collection log slots on them. Random critters have collection log slots. Random events have collection log slots. Mini games. Oh my gosh, Kandarin, is it back? Are we playing Barbarian Assault? No, don't do that, but you could, right? There's a lot of collection log slots there. So this one in particular, I'm not that worried about. I don't think it really impacts our planning. Next one, and really the next few after this, are all going to have to do with combat achievements. Now, this one in particular is interesting. 10 different bosses, combat achievements completed. And what I think they mean by this is green logging them. So keep in mind, we're starting in Varlamore, we've got Karamja, so Varlamore by itself probably gives us about 3 worth of bosses, right? Because I think Moons, Amoxliatl, and Huey, those are all going to be fairly easy for us to get combat achievements for. Karamja, it's going to depend a little bit. You can probably get the Jad ones down fairly easily in leagues. I know that's a little more challenging for folks. We've also got the Inferno and the Tis Wreck challenges that come in. I think those also have their own block. So those might be a little bit more difficult. I'm not necessarily expecting folks to finish the stuff in Karamja, just something to keep in mind. But what this does mean is areas that have a higher volume of bosses that are relatively easy. So I'm thinking like the wilderness especially, but also Asgarnia with things like God Wars. These areas suddenly make a lot more sense if you're trying to point cap and you want to make sure that you pick up all of the different like CA related tasks. Now there are a couple others in here like 30 speed tasks, 250 tasks total, reaching the elite tier of the combat achievements. And realistically, what this means is you're probably getting quite a few from your starting areas, and maybe you pick up like wilderness so you get some of those easy bosses. Also, raids tend to have a ton of points in them, both volume of tasks and how much those tasks are worth. So if you want a mega rare, which probably most of you will, then you're kind of looking at these regions anyway. So I think you're probably good as long as you've got at least one raid region in there. Mauritania probably takes the cake in this regard, though, because it does have more bosses available. So if you didn't want to take either the Wilderness or Asgarnia, then at least Mauritania gives you some more options. Pharaohs might be fairly easy to complete. I know getting a full set of armor can be kind of a pain in the butt. Beyond that, I think it's fairly straightforward. You've also got things like Araxor, which isn't like crazy difficult, I don't think, to do the CAs once you get up there. I wouldn't really want to go for like Phazani's CAs and like green logging them because that sounds like a nightmare. But either way, next up we have got skilling tasks. So they've said we're going to have a 50 mil XP task in each skill. I think we'll probably have a couple of milestones between that. So like in the previous years, we've had, hit 99, get up to 15 mil, 25 mil, 50 mil, something along those lines. Maybe there was like a 35 mil in there. But I think you're going to have a couple of tasks, but it's good to know that we're going to need to get 50 mil in each skill, or at the very least, we have that as an option for us. I know not everybody's going to want to absolutely cap their points, but this does mean for any of your easier skills, you might be able to get some more points out of them. They're also adding 100 mil and 200 mil XP tasks for both non-combat skills and combat skills. This is only going to be one for each of those categories, so you're going to have one 100 mil XP task for a combat skill, so attack, strength, defense, HP, magic, prayer, ranged. Same with the 200 mil, so it's not like you have to 200 mil all. Don't worry. It is going to be nice, especially for the combat ones, though, because those tend to be pretty free for whatever your like main style is. You're doing a lot of bosses, you're getting a lot of XP, so I'm not that worried about those. The non-combat ones, we're going to circle back and talk about. But since we're on the topic of getting all of this XP, I did want to call out the couple troublesome skills that there tend to be in leagues, being these four here: agility, rune crafting, smithing, and herb lore. Now, they do all have some different solves. It's just, you kind of want to keep this in mind if you plan to both like max your account and also cap in points. So things like smithing, we did just see Hotfoot yesterday, so you're going to get some benefit there if you have like one of the gathering relics. The desert has the smithing minigame in it. Taranwin has crystal armor, so that can help a lot. Rune crafting is also one of those painful ones that is helped by the desert. We've got Guardians of the Rift, depending on how many altars we have access to. I know that's a little bit of a question. And then Korend as well, with both the library to help you early in getting those levels, and also later as you unlock blood rune crafting and soul rune crafting. It's not exactly fast. I don't know that I'd be doing that to 50 mil, but it can help you get at least more consistent XP than if you're doing something like Sunfire runes in Barlamore, because that would be awful. Agility is probably one of the only skills where we don't typically have like an area that's good for it. You could maybe say going Mauritania, but man, you gotta be good at Sepulchre if you want some good rates in there. So I think for a lot of folks, it kind of just doesn't matter, which means Hotfoot, value's going up. It's definitely going to be a good relic for this because you're getting that passive XP. And while you probably don't want to be running in circles around like a fountain in Varlamore all the way up to 50 mil or 200 mil, it is going to help you get the level up there, and it's going to help you passively pick up some of these skilling points. And also for herb lore is an interesting one because you kind of only need the herbs. We do have mixology in Varlamore. I know a lot of people don't like mixology. It's not that you have to go to 50 mil or 200 mil for this, but you probably do want to secure some sort of source for herbs, whether that be like the farming relic, the trash can relic, or maybe you're going to like the wilderness because there's a lot of like supply drops in there, a lot of herbs in the mix. So just some things to consider. And for the folks who do want to go for the really, really high XP milestones, I'm removing the trash can for a minute for Woodsman. okay, this is your win for the day. It's not going to stay this way, but you get it right now. Enjoy the next 30 seconds. Now, if you have the gathering relics, the endless harvest for sure, that's going to actually allow you to do something like mining. It's not going to be fast, so you're not like hard rushing to 200 mil in one of these gathering skills, but you can AFK it at least. Same thing with like fishing, you're going to have Karambwans available to you in Karamja. I think bonus points for both fishing and woodcutting if you've got Barbarian Gathering, because it has that like 50% success roll, especially for something like fishing, because the spot doesn't move, so you're catching Karambwans really, really fast. But you can also do this on higher tier stuff like anglerfish in Kourend, redwood trees in Kourend. I don't hate cooking as an option. That's also normally pretty quick as a buyable. If we get something that helps us process our whole inventory at once, this becomes a much better candidate, but you will passively be picking up some XP if you go for something like Hotfoot and then go camping those Karambwans. Thieving is typically really, really good for getting like super amounts of XP, especially if we get ourselves a Thieving Relic, and especially if you go to one of the areas with like high-level NPCs, so Mauritania, Taranwin are typically good. You can maybe throw Kandarin in here for some of those clue NPCs as well. Fire making is really fast if you have access to Wintertod, which is Kourend. Farming might be really, really good for you if you pick up the Farming Relic and you've got Tithe in Kourend, because this one, you're probably getting 200 mil XP in like 3 hours, which would be wild. I know I mentioned this before with Taranwin, but Taranwin has the Crystal Armor, which is both crafting and smithing. Crafting is also generally a pretty good one. We have some gem shops that we're going to have access to, so being able to buy those, cut those. Again, we probably want a relic that processes an inventory if we're going for this high of a milestone, but it is going to be possible for you. And then, of course, the Woodsman wins right here. If you want to go for Hunter, Hunter's going to be really fast with Woodsman, especially if you have the Wilderness and you can do Black Chins, but even Red Chins are going to be pretty quick. And Fletching specifically if you have Kandarin, because Kandarin has the Range Guild, which has a Rune Arrow Tip in the shop, so you can just straight up buy those, and then you're using all of the arrow shafts that you've built up. A little sad that you have to add feathers to them, so rip. You can buy feathered arrow shafts in the same shop, so if you don't want to do that yourself, you can buy them. You do need some GP for it, but that could be a really, really fast way to 200 mil. I think 99 last year when we had a similar combo was like 10 or 15 minutes. Like, it was really fast. But okay, with all of that considered, this is more so for the people who want a point cap, but do keep this in mind even if you don't. Maybe you just want to have generally higher points, have a better chance at Dragon tier than my like Giga Ultra efficiency choice right now. We start in Varlamore, Karamja. I'm probably taking Wilderness first. I'm going to Desert for the raid. And then I am picking up an easier region as my third because I don't have to worry about the CAs. It's kind of covered in the first two. So either I'm picking that third region as like a skilling supporter, so something like Taranwin I really like because it's going to help me with crafting and smithing, or I'm just picking one that I know is going to be easy, doesn't have a lot that I have to do, so something like Kandarin where there's not like a lot of bosses, you just do a couple of the easier skilling tasks, whatever, you're done, you don't have to worry about the region anymore. And on the relic side, I especially like the gathering ones now just because Abundance with the plus 10 is great, but that's not going to help you get into these higher XP milestones because the XP side of Abundance is just trash. So the Gathering Relics are helping you with at least mining, woodcutting, and fishing. And then if you pair that with one of the tier 2s that helps with the processing side like Hotfoot, I really like Hotfoot, especially for agility, but that's also going to be helping you with cooking and smithing. So I think that combo right now is looking really good. Of course, we haven't seen all of the relics, so there's probably going to be some other ones that we want to pick up to kind of like help fill the different gaps, fill up our path in this, but I digress. We'll have to see as we get some more info. One other thing before we move on to the Echo Boss reveal for the day, I did also want to call out this picture's been updated, I think like yesterday or the day before, and what's interesting here is this does look a little more separated than I think past leagues have been for the areas, so that might mean we have to get more tasks in Varlamore before we unlock Karamja, so I'm assuming we do that first, and hopefully we don't have to go all the way through to here to get our extra region, because it would be a little unfortunate to only get Karamja here. I'm kind of anticipating we get Karamja and another region, but I guess we'll find out. But okay, it is now time for the Echo Boss reveal. Welcome back, Echo Cerberus, and we got our guy wielding a really darkened looking dagger, and here's what they had to say about it. Cerberus returns bearing a new Echo item that can ignite your enemies. fight back with a 3-tick dagger that scales with elemental weakness and a special attack that hits instantly. So, first things first, Echo Serb, hello again. Dog Sword, it's gone. Yeah, kind of like the Coppish Blade, I actually don't mind on this one. We've had the Dog Sword like, I don't know, 3 or 4 times. We had it just as recently as Dead Man mode, which was only like a month ago. So I'm fine with this, becoming a different item. I like changing things up a little bit. So now we've got Red Cerberus. Well, I mean, I guess he's already red, but we've got a shinier Red Cerberus. It does have that level 91 Slayer requirement, so kind of like Kandarin, little bit unfortunate. It's going to take you a while to get to this. But the dagger, it's 3-tick. It has a special attack that hits instantly, elemental damage. So this is kind of like a mix between an abyssal dagger, a ham joint for the attack speed, and maybe like a granite maul for the special. What a pretty looking weapon, right, guys? Now, this does make me think a couple of things. First up, with the elemental weakness, we know that Kandarin is getting the Devil's Element again this year. While we don't have the stats and we don't know if the effect is going to change, last year it doubled elemental weakness. Typically, daggers are one-handed. He was only holding the dagger in one hand in the picture, so I kind of wonder if we're going to have some synergy here between the Devil's Element and this dagger. Now, it's hard to say exactly how elemental weakness would work with the melee weapon, because normally when it works with magic, you pick the spell, and then you cast the spell, and that's how it calculates out the elemental weakness. My thought with this is maybe they just have it so that the dagger does like an elemental weakness check, so it's not like you have to cast a spell or anything. It just kind of knows like, oh, I'm fighting Huey Coddle and it's got 100% earth weakness. Cool, let's apply this to our dagger's accuracy and damage. That's kind of how I'm envisioning this working. And if it does tie in with something like the Devil's Element, and again, we see something like that double increase on elemental weaknesses, that would be crazy, because that'd be like 200% weakness on something like Huey Coddle. So some of the bosses might be really fun. I'm trying to save the deep dive on the elemental weakness until we actually have all of this information together, because that'll definitely determine how good this is going to be. But that does get me kind of excited about this. I don't know if I love Asgarnia and Kandarin as a combo in general. I guess it's kind of getting you towards maybe having Elite Void, but that would also require Tehran and I think Asgarnia, Kandarin, Tehran like a horrible combination. So I don't know about that, but something to keep in mind. Now, the other thing that I find interesting with this is last year, the way that the attack speed rounding, a 3-tick weapon would have become 2-tick. And that was also the same for 4-tick and 5-tick weapons. So this makes me think that they're doing something different with the attack speed for weapons, because otherwise this thing is going to be competing with the Scythe. And I guess while that's possible, I mean, normally they balance this where the mega rares are like the highest DPS and then the echo weapons are like secondary to that. So, I mean, maybe this is still going to be the case. But when I think about this as like, we don't have the Zombie X this year, but as an example, it's a 5-tick weapon. Then it makes me wonder, like, how would this compete with something like that? Maybe the elemental weakness piece is strong enough that it is comparable, but that feels a little bad to me. I feel like this thing should do better than something like a Leaf Bladed Battle Axe or a Zombie Axe or whatever, because those are all in that like 5-tick, 4-tick range. Same with like a whip, right? I mean, a whip's 4-tick. So I feel like it's got to be something different with attack speed. Like, I don't know what, but it doesn't feel quite right to me. I mean, they could bump the stats so that at 2-tick, it beats out all of these other like lesser than a Scythe style weapons. It feels a little weird. It feels a little difficult to balance too. So I don't know. They still haven't shown us anything for combat mastery, so it's hard to say for sure, but that's what my intuition's telling me. Whew, and we made it. That is all the reveals for today. I am going to be covering all of the daily reveals, plus I've got a progress series plan once the league starts up, so if you want to see that, make sure to subscribe. And if you want to tell me how great you think Asgardia, Kandarin, and Tehran is as a combo, then I guess join the Discord. That'll be linked down below. Nobody's taking that, right? Like, 0 people have to be taking that, surely. That would be awful. Are you kidding? For Elite Void, like, that's the best thing that you're going to get out of this? I don't buy it. I don't think there's anyone. Someone's going to comment it. I don't believe you. You got to come make your case, dude, because there's no way. Anyway, all right. Thanks for watching. I will catch you in the next one.